Yes.
Okay.
Area of composite figures. So today we're learning about shapes. A composite figure is made of triangles, quadrilaterals, semicircles, and other 2D figures. Some example of composite figures. Here we have a shape with a semicircle and a trapezoid. Over here we have a figure with a triangle and a rectangle. So to find the area of a composite figure, you will separate it into figures with areas you know how to find, and then we will add these areas. So let's work through one together. To find the area of the composite figure over here, we first need to see what shapes we have. This figure can be separated into both a triangle and a rectangle. Which we know the formulas for both. So first we'll start with finding the area of the triangle. We know that area equals half times base times height. So then we look, do we know the base? Over here, we don't necessarily know the base right offhand of the triangle. We will have to calculate the base. We know the base of the rectangle and we know the base over here. So to find out the base of the triangle, we will need to take 10 minus 6. So our base is 4. Do we know the height of the triangle? The height of the triangle is provided, 4 inches. So now we can plug it back into our formula. Area equals half times our base, which we just calculated, times our height, which is provided, 4. And after calculating that, we should get area equals 8 inches squared for our triangle. So step 2, or step 3, would be finding the area of the rectangle. So we know what we know about this figure. Area equals base times height. Do we know the base? Let's look at it. Base is provided. It's 10 inches. Do we know the height of the rectangle? The height would be 6 inches. So let's plug that into our formula. Area equals the base, 10, times our height, which is 6. Calculating that would be area equals 60 inches squared. First, we always need to step with putting the formula in, then plugging in the numbers, and then calculating it. So the last step is adding. Add the areas of each figure to find the area of the composite figure. We figured out the area of the triangle and the area of the rectangle. So now we add the rectangle and the triangle to get our composite figure. So we have 60 plus 8, which gives us 68 inches squared. So we'll work through another one together. The first thing we need to do is decide or figure out which type of figures we're dealing with. Here, we have 2 figures. We have a rectangle, and we have a semicircle. So we know the formula for a rectangle. Area equals base times height. And we can plug in the numbers provided. Area equals the base, which is 9.2, times our height, which is 1.5. And that should give us 13.8 centimeters squared. The next step, figuring out the area of a semicircle. We know the area of a circle is area equals pi r squared. So let's figure out the area of a circle, and then we know to take half to be a semicircle. So area equals half times radius. Well, what is the radius? Do we know offhand? No, we do not know. It is not provided here, so we need to calculate that out. We do know the base here is 9.2, and then this area over here is 2.5. So the remainder is our diameter. So we would take 9.2 minus 2.5, and we would get 6.7 as our diameter. And then we would divide that by 2 to get our radius. 3.35 for our radius. And then we can plug that back into our formula. Area equals pi times our radius squared. And for pi, we can put 3.14. After calculating, we should get 35.2 centimeters squared. So now we have our area of a rectangle and our area of a semicircle. Actually, area of a circle. To get the semicircle, we need to multiply this times half, or divide it by 2. So area of a semicircle would be 17.6 centimeters squared. So to find the area of the composite figure, we need to add these figures. Composite figure area is equal to 13.8 plus our 17.6, and we will get 31.4 centimeters squared. So I'm going to give you a moment to, you may pause the video, figure out which shapes we're going to be dissecting this object into, and see if you can set up the formulas for both. Okay, so the figures we have here, we know we could use a rectangle, and it looks as if we have triangles. We're going to break this apart. Looks like we have a house. So down here we can do a rectangle, and up here looks like we could do 1 or 2 triangles. So we have a rectangle and 2 triangles, or 1, depending on how you want to solve it. So the easiest one, rectangle, area equals base times height. Plug in what we're provided. The base of the rectangle is 10 meters, times our height of the rectangle is also 10 meters. So the area of the rectangle is 100 meters squared. For the triangle, we know the formula for area of a triangle is half times your base times your height. Do we know the base of this triangle? We do not. We do know that this base of the rectangle is 10, therefore half would be 5, and added to this end of the rooftop hanging over would be 4. So we know the base would be 9. So that would be, if you want to write it out, half times 10 plus 4 equals 9. That would be our base of our triangle, the total base. What would be the height of the triangle? We're provided 2 heights in this figure. We're provided 15 meters from the rooftop to the ground and 10 meters from the bottom of the roof to the ground. So we need to subtract to just find the roof. So we would do 15 minus 10 to be 5 meters. So now we have our base and our height. We can plug them into our formula. So area equals half times our base, which we just calculated as 9, and our height, which we just calculated as 5. We can plug those in. After doing so, half times 9 times 5, we will get 22.5 meters squared. And by doing this smaller triangle, we have 2. So don't forget, the next step when we figure out composite figure area and adding the shapes, we're going to add 100 meters for the rectangle, 22.5 meters for one triangle, and 22.5 meters for the second triangle. So the total area of this figure is 145 meters squared. Lastly, if you'll take a minute to look at this bottom shape and figure out which figures we're going to be working with and which formulas we might need to work with. And then I'll work it through with you together. So as far as our figures, here we have a rectangle on the bottom and a trapezoid on the top. And we know the formula for both of those figures. Again, we can quickly knock the rectangle out. Area equals base times height. Our base of our rectangle is 36 feet. The height of the rectangle is 14 feet. So we can plug those into our formula here. You should get 504 feet squared. Next, we have a trapezoid. So if you recall, our formula for trapezoid is half times base 1 plus base 2 times height. Remember order of operations to calculate what's inside the parentheses first. So area equals half. Do we know base 1? Base 1 would be, if the bottom of this rectangle is 36, it would be the same as right here for the trapezoid. So it would be 36 plus, what is the other base, or base 2? It would be 20 feet. Do we know our height? Do we know our height of the trapezoid? No, we need to calculate that. We know the height of the total figure. So the height of the total figure is 20 feet. And the height of the rectangle is provided over here is 14 feet. Therefore, the height of just the trapezoid is 6 feet. Now we can plug the 6 feet into our formula. But remember, order of operations. So we have half times 56 times 6. After doing so, you should get 168 feet squared. And our last step for finding the composite figure area is adding these two figures. So we have 504 plus 168, and we get 672 feet squared. And now we've solved finding the area of composite figures.